Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Welcome back from timcast.com. Oh boy. DiBlasio on vaccines. We tried voluntary. The voluntary phase is over. This guy saying he's a piece of blank is being kind. Let's read on. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio surprised millions of residents in the Big Apple this week when he declared the voluntary phase of COVID vaccinations is over for public workers and municipal employees like firefighters, EMT, teachers, and others. De Blasio was speaking with NBC host Joe Scarborough, what a shock, when he was asked if the city should impose more vaccination mandates on locals. Yes, we are climbing a ladder. I'm not answering yes to your question yet, he said during the July 27th appearance. But that's not enough. I think we got to be ready to climb the ladder more, he said. And I think private sector entities can do some of that right now. Public sector entities need to move as quickly as possible. We've got to put pressure on the situation. Evolutionary, but fast evolutionary. Now, what does that mean? Private sector entities. He's going to threaten, but God knows what, private businesses. If you deal with the city in any shape, way, or form, you have to vaccinate all of your employees, period. If you're to be open to the public, you have to vaccinate all of your employees, period. That's what that means. And, of course, some of the public sector businesses or public sector entities, as he calls them, will go along with it. Yeah, we're woke too. Yeah, right with you, Bill. Yep, no problem. Because they're morons. We got to shake people at this point and say, come on now. We tried voluntary. We could not have been more kind and compassionate. Are you effing kidding me? Bill de Blasio, kind and compassionate? Jesus, I can think of a lot of things to describe him. That would be extremely low on the list. Free testing everywhere turn. Incentives. Friendly, warm embrace. The voluntary phase is over. Friendly, warm embrace. You're not doing what we want. We tried it the nice way. Now we're going to do it the hard way because we're in charge and we know better. We can't keep doing those things. I'm not saying shut it down. I'm saying voluntary alone doesn't work. Well, what else is there besides voluntary? It's time for mandates because it's the only way to protect our people. These people are twisted. You know, the one thing that Trump and this COVID-19 has done, it has pulled away the curtain to expose these people what they really are, what they truly, really are. Power-hungry monsters that want to control everything in everybody's lives. I was a Democrat my whole life until 2013. In fact, I was a local elected official in upstate New York and city council as a Democrat. And nobody fought harder for the party than I at the time. And I saw in the early 2000s, in 2013, I finally took the plunge and left the party. Even I, as negative as I was to the Democrat Party then, could have foreseen the absolute insanity between mail-in BALLOTS, because I don't want to send off the algorithm, and all these COVID restrictions that won them elections. And now, don't do as I do, do as I say. We are the elite. This is like the Hunger Games, for Christ's sake. And I'm a huge fan of the Hunger Games. In fact, I just read the book recently, the prequel book, and they're making it into a movie. And I can't wait for that. The United States has turned into Pan Am. I'm telling you it is. a modern version of Pan Am, or I should say a U.S. version of Pan Am. This is crazy. Let's read on. DiBlasio moved earlier this week to force all city workers to receive the vaccine or subject themselves to weekly COVID tests. All right. If they'll take the test, I guess I can put up with that. We all know the Delta variant has thrown us a curveball, DiBlasio told reporters during his Monday briefing. This is about our recovery. This is what we need to do to bring back New York City. This is about keeping people safe. You lying piece of crap. You said not just a few weeks ago with the mandate on evictions for people, even though they're getting paid either through the government or through unemployment or both, extra federal dollars and unemployment. It paid them to stay home. That's why they can't find workers anymore. And you said, and I'm paraphrasing, good, when all these apartment complexes come back to the city for it because they don't pay their taxes, their property taxes, we'll just take them over and make them into low-income housing. You were actually cheery about it. And now you're talking about bringing about a recovery? You lying piece of crap. What I really like about this is this comment from an individual called Arak Iti. And I thought this was really compelling. The comment reads, the desperation is so clear. These people are now openly playing the part of the villains, speaking of the same talking points as 1920s Germany. We must have control. We must have compliance. It is those people's faults. They are the reason, insert complaint here. They clearly screwed up with their great revolution and the toppling of the American right. Yeah, they did. Now come the mandates. Now come the jackboots kicking in doors and dragging grandma and your 12-year-old daughter off to be medicated. That's a little hyperbolic, but I see his point. Well, figuratively. They'll tone it down, of course, to whatever level they think Americans will tolerate, and there's the key. And they've been pushing this for over a year. How long will Americans stay locked down? And we told them 15 days to stop the spread, and then we destroyed their lives. Millions of people's lives are ruined, me included. I had to sell my business. Anyway, but they effed up. Normal people get off this train right around the time they start figuring out that Delta was breaking through the vaccine. They won't fight. They won't even say anything. But the left just lost 2/3 of the country. What remains is inept loyalists and power-hungry vampires. Inept loyalists. That's a damn good way to put it. They have scraped off every normal human in this country from their base until all that is left is the worst possible people. Now comes the nastiest part of the fight, but I think they've already lost. I agree. Long term, I'm incredibly optimistic about America and its resilience. Short term, the next year, year and a half, 2 years, it's going to be brutally bad. I think this is basically how it unfolds. About how the vaccinated people, the loyalists, will blame the vaccinated for Delta. Never mind that Delta started in India. The authoritarian politicians will use their rage to enact insane policies. The two sides will be enraged. But unfortunately, it'll become clearer and clearer that there is little difference between vaccinated and vaccinated. Eventually, variants will completely escape the vaccine. Ask any third-year med student, they will tell you there are too many reservoirs to defeat this virus with this type of vaccine protocol. The web of lies will become untenable, and the leftist narrative will completely collapse. This is the moment when the leftists will snap. They will know they've lost, and they will all be beyond reason in their rage. Either there will be a massive violence, or they will slink away into the nearest darkest corner, not to be seen again for a generation. Let me read that again because I think those 4 lines are incredibly telling. The web of lies will become untenable, and the leftist narrative will completely collapse. This is the moment when the leftists will snap. They will know they've lost, and they'll be beyond reason in their rage. Either there will be a massive violence, or they will slink away into the nearest darkest corner, not to be seen again for a generation. I couldn't agree more with the end of that. That is incredibly accurate. I pray there's not violence. I think it's going to be unavoidable in maybe some small pockets here and there. But overall, I think it's going to be very, very peaceful transition. When I say peaceful, I mean no violence. But there will be mass. It will turn everything up. Will there be a civil war? Probably not. But that's a civil war you're thinking of with standing armies. One side is going to win. This is it. And every time the Democrats get pushed back, they double down, and they double down, and they double down, and they double down. Now they're having hearings. They have to make sure that Donald Trump can never run for president again. But what they don't get is in the last 5 years, especially the last year with the coronavirus, lockdowns, illegal, I might add, and unlawful and immoral, it's probably killed more people than they didn't. What they should have done, what they always do in pandemics when a certain part of the population is very exposed. I'll call it just simple ailments. Elderly people are especially susceptible. People with pre-existing conditions, keep them isolated, and things would have been just the same. Yes, there would have been some people that died, and it's a shame, and it's sad. And that's the way nature is sometimes. It's unforgiving and relentless. But we tried the arrogance to fool. Remember the old expression, you can't fool Mother Nature? Well, we tried. Or I should say they tried. And it failed miserably. Many more people died than would have died. Do I wish that no one died? Absolutely. But unfortunately, life isn't fair. And life isn't always kind. And people are going to die. We can always put the blame, but we're never going to find out exactly what happened because they're covering that up too. All we want to know is the truth. And so the true colors came out when Donald Trump was president. But the part they don't get, the part they'll never understand, that none of this are the people that are just furious and had enough. Even a field mouse will fight back if you corner it. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. It has to do with the last 10, 20, 30 years. With the part they don't get, with the part they don't understand, is this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This has everything to do with the way the middle class, the vast majority of the American people have been treated the last 2-3 decades. How they've watched their towns just dry up and blow away, to rust down into oblivion. The Rust Belt is exactly right. And they've been pummeled and they've been screwed over by politicians in Washington and their state governments for decades. And when Donald Trump was elected, they saw someone that rooted for them. It could have been somebody else. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. And then came COVID. Then came the pandemic. And the true colors of the Democrats and the progressives came out. The curtain was pulled away. And we saw what they were really like. And he's right. They will now know they've lost, and they will be beyond reason in their rage. This is the moment when the leftists will snap. That's exactly right. And it's going to be messier than hell. But when the smoke clears, the American people will win. And I hope, as this gentleman says, that these people slink away into the nearest dark corner, not to be seen again for a generation. We can only hope and pray that he's right. And until the next time, goodbye and good luck.